Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm here with my good friend John, DJ Jon B, aka Jonathan Bearden. We grew up together, and he's turned out to be one of the best DJs in LA. So I'm excited to hear his story, to share it with everybody. We've had some good times over the years playing together, sports growing up in this area, and then also down in LA in the music scene. So I'm excited to kind of get into some of that, and definitely by far the coolest setup and room and backdrop that I've had of anyone I've interviewed so far. So congrats on that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, man. Well, it's so good to have you. For those that don't know you, please just tell us kind of your background, where you grew up, and how you became, DJ Jon B, and kind of what you're into now. Besides that awesome office that you have there.
Uh, yeah, this is my Twitch station right here. But
Nice.
yeah, I grew up next to you.
Yep.
No, I grew up Prunedale, which is Jordan's from Castroville. I'm from Prunedale, and if you don't know, that's pretty much Salinas, California. I grew up there the first 20 years of my life and moved down to Southern California, and I've been 21 years now in Southern
Damn.
California.
Really? So technically, you've been there longer than here.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
It's crazy.
That's crazy. So yeah, we grew up together. I remember, I think since I'm not sure about elementary, but middle school for sure. I know we played basketball together, middle school and high school. And one thing I remember about John, he always, kids from Prunedale, Castroville, most kids in that area don't got a lot of money or a lot of style. So it was like, everybody was wearing whatever basic stuff. And but John, it was always fresh, man. It was always just like fitted. And it wasn't just about buying nice things, it was like style, and not really knowing what that was as a kid. It's just you could always this guy always had the headbands and the wristbands and the nice shoes and the like all the 90s nostalgia stuff that people are trying to do now when it comes to music and like fashion. You were doing it when it was happening, right? So I'll give you credit for that.
Well, thank you. But hey, I remember you had the Bulls warm-up suit, the white one,
I
the
did. It's
champion warm-up
so
suit.
random. Yeah, I did.
That shit was fly. Like we all wanted that one because that was the
Yeah.
famous Jordan one when he won the championship when he came back, the white
Yep.
one with the black trim with the red outline.
Yep. So John was fitted, and then we had another boy, Jimmy Limke, who had the Warriors one.
Oh
So
yeah, I forgot about
randomly,
that.
we'd be mudsliding middle school with like t-shirts with the sleeves cut off and like whatever blue shorts you could find. That was our jersey, and and then we somehow randomly, I think I got it for Christmas or something. But I'm a Warriors fan. But of course, in the '90s, I mean, who didn't like Jordan and the Bulls? And so was repping that full suit. And yeah, that's funny to think about now. The warm-ups must have been so weird, just random
Yeah,
middle school kids and then this kid in a Bulls jersey or a Bulls warm-ups. Yeah,
it was dope though. We
it
all
was
wanted
dope.
one.
That was good times for sure. So okay, so finish high school. You're about a year ahead, I think, of me.
Yeah.
What brought you to LA? What was that about?
I don't know. I always connected with like, well, West Coast music. I mean, we grew up Central California, but you know, the Northern California Bay Area rap scene. I always loved that, but I always loved like Death Row Records and that scene of hip hop. And I don't know. I always just wanted to come to LA. Maybe because I was a Lakers fan. I don't know what it was, but I moved down to San Diego first for a few years, and then I slowly migrated up. But
I know you've always had good taste in music and sports and fashion, but when did you get into music yourself, like as a DJ, as a producer?
well, I mean, I've always been into music. I mean, when we were playing basketball in middle school, I always had my Discman bumping whatever was popping at the
Right.
time, like Outkast, Tupac,
Yep.
Pre-Game, uh, and then in high school, I think I was one of the first people to get like a CD burner, so everyone would come to
Yep.
me to create mixes.
Yep.
And then I bought turntables. I had no idea what the hell I was doing, but I had them and started collecting vinyl.
In high school.
Yeah, in high school.
All right. So for those of you that are under the age of, I don't know, 30, um, back in the day before MP3s, we had to record on cassette tapes from the radio or then eventually we were able to, right about when we were in high school, you could download music from the internet and put it on, burn it onto a CD, but you could do like one song would take like all night to download on LimeWire or Napster or something like that.
Yeah,
And you
Napster.
might give your computer cancer.
I would leave the computer on all night long, just downloading, and I wake up in the morning before school and be like, "Oh, I got 10 songs."
And the other thing was dial up, especially in freaking Prunedale. That meant that if you were on the internet, you couldn't also use the phone. And this is before everybody had cell phones. So it's like you can't tie up the family one house phone all night to download music. So that was kind of the struggle that those of us elder millennials had to deal with.
See, I was lucky. We had 2 lines because my dad had his own business.
Ah,
So I would plug into his because no one was calling like after 6, 7 o'clock. And then
perfect
we had a
solution.
regular line. So I would plug into that. So I got lucky and then just left it overnight.
So, and people don't realize back in the day, if you were to go get a new CD, so it was a tradition for a lot of people, not me, because it just wasn't a priority at the time, but people, I know people that would go buy a CD or a couple of CDs every Friday, right? It would come out like a Sam Goody or all these other music stores. And back then, CDs were like $10 to $20. So all of a sudden, you're burning them, and then you could sell those for 5, $10, whatever. It was basically like $1 a song.
Yeah, it was my little side hustle so I can go buy the CDs that I
Yeah.
wanted.
You would make the mixes so you could go buy the new
So I
CDs.
could go buy more CDs. I still have all like pretty much all my CDs.
That's crazy. That's got to be thousands of dollars worth of CDs.
Yeah, and it's crazy like the prices rose on some of these CDs.
I
Like
can't
I
imagine what you have just in gear and vinyl and CDs and collector stuff, shoes. I mean, it's crazy. Did you would you say your like the Jordan shoes was kind of all at the same time as well? Just part of the culture?
yeah, I mean, I didn't even know it was a culture. I just liked all this shit.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You were like
Yeah.
one of the only dudes holding it down for
Yeah,
what's now very
it was
popular. Back then, like
yeah, it
not
was
everybody was
crazy.
into it.
Yeah, it started like in middle school, I think like in 6th or 7th grade. I mean, before that, I liked music. Like, I remember I bought Doggy Style. I think I was in 5th grade. My mom got it for me the day it came out. So, I mean, I was listening to music then, and but like in middle school, like my fashion sense kicked in, and
Yep.
like with jerseys, the baggy jeans, sneakers. But it wasn't until high school when I started getting my own money, I can get like multiple pairs. It was like, I
Yeah.
remember 7th grade, I had the pennies, and
Yep.
8th grade, I had the Pippins. And then once like sophomore year came around, I was like, oh, I have multiple pairs.
Yeah. It was like, yeah, I know. It was like you were lucky to get one pair for the school year and then one pair for the season. And then
Yeah.
I remember one year, I think freshman year, maybe everybody got the same team shoe, and it was always a challenge because it was like, oh, some kids can't even afford the team shoe, which is understandable. Other kids, um, they want to have their own style, and so it's like they feel bad to have to wear the same one as everybody else. So it's just funny how sneaker culture was such a big part of basketball, especially.
Yeah.
So you
Uh,
were down in San Diego. You were kind of messing around with music here and there, but when did you start like taking music seriously and thinking like, all right, I might be able to do something with this?
uh 2003. That's when I started working for a mobile DJ company, and that's when I count that I actually started because that's when I got my first check.
Dang, so that's what, 22 years?
Yeah.
Dang.
Summer 2003. So yeah, it's coming up on 22 years. But I was messing around with it prior, but I only count like when I started when I got my first paycheck.
Okay.
So that was then. But
And what did you start on CDJs with Serato, or what did you start on platform wise?
no, vinyl. It was all
Just
like,
original vinyl.
yeah, original vinyl, just collecting stuff and mixing in my house, trying to like I didn't know what I was doing at first.
Now, for those that don't necessarily understand how it works as a DJ, and I've come to appreciate and respect all different types of DJs because as a musician for a while, I kind of had a chip on my shoulder towards DJs because I'm like not true turntablist, but like when the kind of EDM DJs were coming out, making a bit make going mainstream, it was like, dude, we have a full band of 6 people that each play an instrument, and you're paying this guy who just has a laptop the same. I was like, it just didn't make sense to me at the time.
Hey, I
And
had a
then
chip on my shoulder against them too. So
as like a true like hip hop turntablist, right? But I've come to appreciate it and respect, you know, all different types of music in different forms. But I remember as a musician, at first I was like, who are these guys? You know, because it became easier to book a DJ or an EDM DJ for a party than it was to book a band for obvious reasons. But so you started doing the mobile DJ thing in 2003. I'm trying to think of what music was big at that time. I guess that's
Get
right.
Low,
Yeah, Get Low,
Salt Shaker.
pretty much anything coming out of Atlanta with Usher
Uh,
and Lil Jon.
yeah, Usher, yeah, Nori Nothing. You still has some like West Coast stuff. Game was coming out, I think in
Game, yep,
'04.
yep,
50 Cent. I mean, there's a lot. Sierra was coming out. Like,
yep.
um, yeah,
So
those are.
now, when you said mobile, was that like house parties or weddings, or were you guys doing clubs and bars or
Um, Schools.
schools? Okay. Oh, so
Yeah,
like proms and winter balls and stuff.
middle schools, proms, everything. Then some like house stuff, and then it just led to weddings. Then it led to getting my foot in the door of meeting other DJs to connect with within a record pool. Then it went to bars, then some clubs, and a little bit, and it's been a little bit of everything since.
Yeah.
Like,
When do you, so you count when you started being a DJ, you count it as when you first got a check, right?
yeah,
So that when you're like, okay, I guess I'm a DJ now. When do you feel like okay, that's when you started as a professional. But when do you feel like you're like, oh shit, like when you made it to a certain level to where was it a venue? Was it opening for a certain artist? Like what was that moment where you're like, oh shit, like I'm in the big leagues now?
shoot. I mean, honestly, like where it's like, oh, like I've made it.
Yeah.
Uh, Probably 2016 or
Okay. So
27,
you were grinding for, 10, 15 years
where I
before
felt
you
like comfortable to where it's like,
master your craft.
yeah, I'm dope. Like,
Yeah. Well, you did. It worked out. This is 10 years ago now. You did my 30th birthday, and it was the most random request because I was like, look, bro, I know you're in LA. I'm all the way out here in the middle of nowhere in San Bernardino. And see, being from Northern California, like we are, or Central California, pretty much anything between Santa Barbara and San Diego, we're just like, it's LA, right? It's all LA.
yeah,
But if you're from LA, you understand the different neighborhoods and the different cities, and Inland Empire is quite far from Los Angeles. And so you and your lady came out there and you rocked it, man. It was such a cool experience. We had a friend that had a pool and out in San Bernardino, and we had, I don't know, about 20, 30 of us, and we just had a house party. And then it was a surprise that you came through, and everyone was like, "What?" So we had this like big name, awesome LA DJ at like a little birthday party, and because obviously we've been friends a long time, so I'll never forget that, man. You made my 30th birthday pretty awesome.
that was fun. I remember like we were outdoors for a while, and then I think it got cold or something, or maybe the neighbors, and we moved the setup
Yep,
inside,
yep.
and then continue the party. It was like I
Indoor,
want
outdoor.
like 7 hour day, right? Like
Yeah,
it was a long
it's,
day.
we're just like, hey, you're off the hook, but if you want to keep going, like let's, and you're like, no, we're just partying now. This isn't a performance. We're just partying.
Yeah.
So it worked out. One of the side, we're going to keep talking about music, but another kind of thing that you were thought was cool early on, which a lot of guys did in the 80s and the 90s. I know I was a big fan of WWF, but you're like a super fan. And yeah, even you've carried it all the way through, right? And even currently, I know you're still going to Monday Night Raw and all this kind of cool shit. And I remember because I don't know if it was high school or junior high, you came as the Rock for Halloween or something one time, and I remember like you were an OG fan of the Rock. And but to tell people about your kind of fanhood with WWE, and how from being a kid in the 80s to even now you're still a fan.
Uh, so I've been a fan probably since I remember like five maybe, and I was like really into it like from eight till throughout high school and everything. I would watch WWE, WWF then, WCW, ECW, anything wrestling, get my hands on, get magazines, videotapes. We had a black box back then, so I'd get all the pay-per-views.
Yep.
Um, just been a fan, and then never stopped watching it. I kind of like I would keep up with it, but like in the later 2000s, I was just more focused on my music, and I really didn't have time. I was just hustling, and I would keep up. And watch Raw, not really SmackDown, and I just wasn't really that interested. And then like when CM Punk was like really at his peak, like 2010, 2011, that's when it like hooked me back in. And then like I had no one to go to shows with, so that was the other thing. So I stopped going to shows from like '05 to like 2012 or something like that. I think I went to like one with like our friend Melinda because she lived down
Oh
there
yeah, yeah,
too
yeah,
at the
yeah.
time.
She is a big fan too. Yeah, that's right.
And then so that's when I had got my girlfriend Brenda, who you know,
Yeah, she's
and
the
then
best.
she started liking wrestling. She liked it before, and then I'm like, "Do you want to go to a show?" And then she's like, "Yeah, I'm down."
That's when you knew she was the one.
And then, yeah, and then ever since then, it's like we've been going to shows, and we've been to I think 8 WrestleManias.
That's
Uh,
epic.
we've been to all kinds of different cities. We traveled to the other cities, not just for wrestling, but to see the different cities. And then we watch wrestling. We go to sports, whether what depending what season it is, like an NFL game or a NBA game, MLB, whatever is there during that time. We try to hit so we can see those stadiums.
That's so dope. Yeah, I'm not as committed as you have been toward that, and I've never been to a real WWF event, but I have been to plenty of sports and concerts, and it's true. Like whenever we're in like in a new city, I've tried like, oh, we're in town, let's go see a baseball and a football game, or let's go see this concert and see if we can catch a a different game while we're there, or this golf course or whatever. And it's pretty cool to see now when you travel, you can really do that. One of my favorite cities randomly for that is actually Phoenix, Arizona, because the Bay Area is cool, right? We grew up there. I love all those
Yeah,
teams, but like it's kind of spread out in a weird way. It's not necessarily the most fan friendly like experience to be a Bay Area sports fan. LA has gotten a lot better, but with Phoenix, like all the bars and restaurants are right there.
I
You
love
can
Phoenix.
you can walk right to go to a Suns game or down to go to a Diamondbacks game, and all it's everything's just right there. And then I remember one time going to see Niners Cardinals. I mean, it's not too far down in Glendale. It's also where the Coyotes used to be, and I think Arizona State's nearby. But there's a little plaza there, so you could tell Arizona. Well, I mean, it's just like kind of flat. There's not like a bridge in the middle, like in the Bay Area, but
Yeah,
they're like they thought it out. They're like, oh,
yeah,
let's have the
it's
dining
really
and
easy to get
yeah,
around. Like we love going to there. Our thing was also for a few years spring training, so
yes,
we would hit multiple games. And but yeah, Phoenix is dope. I love the scene down there. The nightlife scene is cool, and I think we've been to all the places down there too.
yeah, it's awesome. So okay, you have your passion for music, your passion for style, passion for wrestling. As you started to kind of start doing more and more gigs, when you said 2016 was that turning point, what brought about that turning point in music?
Uh, well, it was just the turning point to where I finally could see in myself. It's like, oh, you are dope at what you do. Like it was a grind, and I was a full time DJ prior doing all these gigs, but I held myself to such a high pedestal because of the people I looked up to, and I'm like, I don't know if I could ever be on these guys' level.
Like who? Like give us an example of who you
Like
looked up to.
DJ AM, Jazzy Jeff.
Yep, yep,
I'm not saying I'm on their level at all, but
right.
I'm just saying
You were inspired by their
I'm
careers,
inspired by those type of guys. So
right?
it's like really hard for me to like think like, oh, did I make it yet? Like, what do I got to do? But around that time, I started doing like my own events. I think I started throwing my own events in 2014.
Yeah,
Then they started getting better and better, and then there was a lot of them. Then I was getting booking other DJs, and there was a lot going on around that time, and it was really like, oh, like I'm not struggling anymore, like because sometimes it'd be paycheck to paycheck,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
sometimes, and then it finally got to that point where it's like, okay, like
Well, that's about the
I
time
feel
when I was
comfortable.
yeah, that's about the time that I was living down there. Orange County, LA area was 2013, 2014. And so I remember went to an dope event kind of by the airport or by that hotel, maybe Century City, that hotel where they filmed True Lies, and the like the horse
Oh,
goes up the elevator and into
yeah,
the
the
pool.
Westin.
Yeah, so I think there was a gig there because I remember walking by going, I've been to that hotel before. And then another gig, we went and you were like in some bank vault in downtown LA, something like
Oh,
that.
yeah, that was
That was one of your residencies. So we
yeah, I
would always
forgot
go
the
out.
name of that spot, but that
Our
was a
boy
cool venue.
Ehab, we would go, support you out there. So it was really cool. And then all of a sudden, moved back up north, and you just kind of like took off. And so once you had that confidence, and you were doing your own events, Was it just like you built your thing and booked your own stuff, or you started getting asked to do other gigs just separately?
Well, the confidence came from doing my own events because there was just like a time. I get a blur with some of the years, but there was a time before like where it's like I was getting gigs, but wasn't really getting that many. I was getting all my mobile gigs, and I was fine with that, but I wasn't getting as many club gigs as I wanted. So
Right.
I decided like, well, there was another group of friends I had, felt the same way. I'm like, why don't we just do our own shit? Like, let's cut
Yep.
out the promoter. We can be the
Yep.
promoters, and that's how like my confidence really got started. Where it's like I became the promoter. I became the the DJ to book the other DJs,
Yeah.
and just learned the whole game. I didn't know anything going in, but I'm like, I'm down to learn.
We kind of went through that too. My boy Chad and I, we were kind of promoters, and then we realized that we were hiring, graphic designers, photographers, videographers, other promoters, doing all these things, and we're like, you know what? This is right when social media was kind of like coming out too, right? Smartphones,
Yeah,
social media. So a lot of things changed. Every industry, music, DJing, like clubs, everything changed. And we kind of taught ourselves how to do a lot of that so that we could, keep more money for ourselves. And then also not only just about the money, but it was also the quality control, right? Because you don't know if
yeah,
you're going to put your name on something, you want it to be good, you want it to be safe, you want it to be consistent. And if you involve too many other people, sometimes you can't control the quality.
yeah. Same thing happened with myself when I was first starting with throwing our own stuff over at the Westin. It was a bar called Suede. That was
That's it. That's right. That was
yeah,
dope.
that was my first venue. But
Very cool.
I was hiring graphic designers too. But everyone I would hire, like they wouldn't get it in time.
Right.
There would be revisions. Then I just ended up teaching myself that. I'm like, okay, well, why am
Yep.
I paying this person
Same.
$50? And I just learned it myself.
Yep.
And I mean that's helped me till this day.
Yep. That's awesome. And I love it. A lot of same happened with a lot of we were working with a lot of musicians, bands, DJs, but also a lot of comedians. And that kind of became the thing for comedians too. Is like if you can do all your own stuff, like you're powerful because you know how to do it on a lean budget. And so then when that extra comes, then you can really like reward yourself. But you also know how to do with not much, right? You can kind of make it happen on your own. And
Yeah.
it's a super valuable skill. Um, so you built the momentum 2016, killing it for a couple years. I moved back home, but I was watching you from afar and seeing all kinds of cool stuff. And I remember our mutual friend Evan was down there in LA, linking up with you and saying all the big things you were doing. I'm like, yeah, man, he's got the skills. He's it's just a matter of time, whatever he wants to be doing out there. All of a sudden, you have all this momentum and great stuff going on. Then, boom, 5 years ago, the pandemic happens, and I was in LA when it happened. I was at a conference, and the second day of the conference, they're like, "Oh, the hotel has asked us to like send everybody home. We're ending the conference early." It was with Tom Ferry, a real estate conference. And we're like, "Oh, okay." And I'm like, "Oh, this is weird. This is probably just going to be some, I didn't take it that serious." And then I go out to the hotel lobby, and it said March Madness canceled, Disneyland closed, and I'm getting all these updates on my phone. I'm like, "What the heck?" So then go home that weekend, and by that Sunday, everything was shut down. But pretty much exactly 5 years ago, almost to the day. Well, obviously for a lot of people who relied on bars and nightlife and live events, it was like overnight that went away. And it was so much uncertainty for people who had, with weddings and parties are booked
Oh
months
yeah.
and years in advance. Deposits are made, all this kind of stuff. So talk about what the pandemic was like for you. I mean, as a person, but also just as a DJ and like a event and music professional.
Uh, at first, I didn't believe it, just like you. I was like, "There's no way. There's no way. Like any of this shit's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no way. Like, what are we gonna do?" Then when it did, I was glad I was prepared.
Yeah.
Um, Financially, thank God I was stable and I was okay. We did have a few $1,000s invested in a trip for WrestleMania.
Nice.
So I was a little worried about that because on my hotel it was non-refundable because I'm like, why would I like
Yeah.
want a refund? I'm going. Like
Yeah.
so, but they gave me all my refunds. They gave us everything. We were supposed to it was supposed to be in Tampa, so I was worried about that. And then I talked to my friend Angie, and I'm like, what the fuck would I do? Like, and she's like, I don't know. And I always knew how to stream. I actually did streaming back in, I think, 2009 or 2010 on Ustream. We used to do
Oh
that.
wow,
Yeah,
the OG platform.
Ustream
Yeah.
and Stickcam.
Wow.
And then I think months prior, I think in 2024, I want to say, because we would have an art walk where my like office is. It was monthly, and I would stream. I did it a couple of times out of here, so I had everything on how to connect everything and to the iPhone where you get the solid audio.
Ah,
So
nice.
so I was like, well, when I was talking to her, it's like, fuck it, this is stream. Like,
Yeah.
okay. She really went in and streamed every day. I can't commit to every day, but I
It
just
became
started
huge
I just started streaming on my iPhone probably like 3 to 5 times a week and doing different themes. And I mean, we had some fun in here.
I remember I was on there.
We had some 80s nights, and I changed
Yep.
outfits like 3 different times. I had like a Macho Man outfit,
I remember that. Yep.
and then I think I changed it to like my Kango and went LL Cool J style, and like,
Yep.
and it was funny because the iPhones would die, so we kept swapping out the iPhone to stay on.
Oh
Um,
wow.
it would be like, hey guys, we'll be right back,
Yeah.
and yeah, just stream through the iPhone on Instagram and
Well,
did that.
you were doing a great job with it. And remember DJ D Nice? He was kind of like semi-retired. And
Yeah,
then all of a sudden he decided to just stream every night. And it was like we were all going through it together during the lockdown and just like vibing on DJs, just really like you said, it was the moment for DJs to step up and help people get through it. And they did. And you were one of them for sure.
yeah, and we were just doing it for fun, like, and then I had Twitch again. Thankfully for wrestling, it always goes back to wrestling.
For video games.
No, not for video games. This wrestling organization TNA,
Yeah,
two
yeah.
years prior, they put a pay per view on Twitch.
Oh, damn.
So
Smart.
that's why I had the Twitch app, and then they would put like old stuff so I'd watch on Twitch. So I already knew about Twitch, so I already
Yep.
had my account, and then like in May of 2020, I would like simulcast with like Instagram and then Twitch, but I didn't have no followers or whatever. And then like when Instagram really started like taking us all down, but only keeping D Nice up there because D Nice was on
Cop.
IG Live forever.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but they would take us down, and then like slowly, it wasn't until like July where it was like, oh, full on Twitch, and then we just started like really making like some money, and I did pretty well on that.
And
And
you
then
did, how were you monetizing Twitch at the time? Just like basically per views, you get commercial, like how YouTube does, like the partner program, like that.
well, you could get money off the commercials, but then like the fans will go in and
Oh yeah.
they'll send bits or
Yep.
subscribe to you.
Yep.
I think it was at the time it was like 5.99 or 4.99 depending how you subscribe, and then you get half of that. But you had to there were steps. So when you first started, you didn't get shit. But then if you had like so many viewers, then you come into I forgot what it was, but I made partner pretty quick. So that's like the top level.
Awesome.
So I think that was just because I built the following on IG Live, and then like they followed over to Twitch, and then I gained other ones, and then like we were getting really good numbers on my lives at the peak. It was like on Sundays I would do old school Sundays. I
I
would
remember
get
that.
probably like 350 to 400, sometimes more.
That's awesome.
Um, and then I had like all my days, like Friday, Freestyle Friday, that was another good one. And then I'd randomly do like a West Coast Wednesday, then like a Turn Off the Lights R&B on Tuesdays, and then sometimes it's like a Saturday night or just here and
How many
there.
babies do you think you're responsible for in your career?
I think there was a couple hookups. There was a few love connections
At
that,
least a few.
yeah, a few love connections that didn't last, but we had some
That's
fun.
awesome.
But
That's
yeah, and
awesome.
it just built a great following, a good support system. Then um, I made a lot of friends through it too.
Yeah. Well, it's it's funny because obviously as your career has grown, your confidence has grown even in person. But from the person that I grew up with to DJ Jon B, are, it's almost two different people, right? And I don't know if that's just alter ego or just kind of like persona. Not just, it's not an act you put on in any way, but
Yeah.
it's just a different, like you're kind of more of a low key, like kind of quiet guy normally, and then it's like this whole other situation, which is awesome. Once you guys kind of got through the pandemic, and I remember I was on some of those lives, and I was a fan of watching you do it, and things went back to normal, whatever that means. What was kind of, obviously you appreciated live events. Do you remember the first couple live ones you did, and like the
Oh yeah.
you appreciate being back in a venue?
Oh yeah. I always love the venue a lot more than. I mean, I do love the Twitch stuff. I don't want to diss that, but there's nothing like being up and close and like with everyone, like a dance floor, like actually right in front of you. But like when it was opened up, it was funny. Like they teased us down here for a little bit, so they opened it up and then they took it back from us.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I think it was like May of 2021. I think that's when like they opened up one of my residencies,
Or all the
and
outdoor ones were popping.
well, this was indoor first,
Oh wow.
and they let that happen for like a month, and then they took that back, and it was like then you have to be outdoor, or I forget all the
They
rules,
kept
but
changing the rules. Yeah,
yeah, that first month back, like my first event, pop so slammed. It was like one of the best nights ever.
yeah.
I got to finally meet a lot of the people that were supporting, and
Yes,
I had
that's
all these
awesome.
conversations with, or through Instagram, through Twitch, and all this stuff. I finally got to meet them. A lot of them came out. I think there was like 60 to 70 of them, and I'm just like meeting them. It was like so cool to see people like in person finally, and then of course like my friends and stuff.
Yeah, of course.
It was really fun.
So you mentioned DJ AM and Jazzy Jeff, who are just both legends in their own right. And Jeff was doing some cool streams as well. I watched a few um, during the pandemic. What are some other artists and DJs that you work with over the years that you're proud to have worked with? And then who are maybe some that you haven't yet, but you want to in the future?
So fortunately, like with some events that I've done, like with You're Not Down, I'm sure we'll talk about that. Oh Snap is another party I did. I've got to like book other DJs and collab that way, and be on the same stage with a lot of people I looked up to. For one, Jay Espinoza, who's from Bay Area,
Yeah,
like he's super dope. We've had him at You're Not Down, I think 3 or 4 times. Great person, one of my favorite DJs, and to share the stage with him, it was an honor. Um, Let me see. Let me grab my phone to see the list of the people we've had. But like he's like a standout one. Let me ask Brenda if she's actually right here. Who else?
I'll tell her I said hello. What's up, Brenda?
I mean, there's been artists that I've been like blessed to open up for, like Ludacris. Got to open up for him. That was a highlight. Lupe Fiasco.
Oh, love them both.
Um, Maya, I was able to book her, love her in many
Oh,
ways.
yeah, legendary.
Oh, the Baker Boys. When we were in middle school, they were on KMEL,
Man, shout out KML. That's old school.
but they're from down here. They originated from Power 106 or from Bakersfield, and
Nice.
they become like good friends of mine. Of course, like my peers, like Von Kiss, who friends, Dynamics. Um, I don't want to forget people. Oh, Arcade, he's from up north. He's
Yeah,
dope. Um, we booked him last season, but yeah, there's been a lot of like dope DJs, and this season where I have a lot of good ones too.
that's awesome.
Yeah,
Well, we could go on and on with the nostalgia and with the stories. I'm super proud to see everything that you built, and we're going to have another conversation at some point, I'm sure. But you have definitely one best setup for sure of any of the interviews that we've done. We had a little technical difficulties in the beginning, but we got it dialed. And
yeah.
where can people find you? What's the best place for people to find you if they want to check out your music?
Instagram. I got links to everything on there. So DJ underscore JONB Instagram. I got links to my Twitch, YouTube, Mixcloud, SoundCloud. Just go to Instagram and my website's there. Um, You can
And so
find everything on.
the two last questions. One, what do you got cooking for this spring and summer? And two, what would you say to any aspiring DJs or streamers out there?
This summer, I'm looking forward to it. It actually starts for us. This is a party I do with Angie V. It's called You're Not Down. It's season number 9, and it's at the Derby Room in Pomona, and we do it monthly. Season opener is April 4th, and I'm so looking forward to that. It's my favorite event, and it's just a great time. It's nothing but like backyard boogie vibes. We play old school funk, freestyle, 90s
Shit, we
hip
might have to
hop.
come down for that. Well, what days it is? It's on Sundays.
Yeah, it's on Sundays.
All right,
We have the whole season listed.
all
Um,
right. I'm gonna check it
uh,
out and be at one of those.
Actually, your wife's sister wants to come.
Carla or Bernie?
Oh no, your wife's cousin. Sorry, Karina.
Karina. All right,
Yes,
we'll bring
yeah,
Karina too.
yeah.
Have
She hit
Carla
me
and
up
Bernie. We'll
about
bring them
that.
all.
But yeah, like looking forward to that. It's turned into like a mini festival. It started off in like a rooftop of the Fox Pomona, had like maybe like 50 to 100 people, maybe 200 at our best day. Then we moved to like the alley over there. Then we had like 500, and now we're getting like max like 1,800 people.
Damn. For
It's
okay.
it's nuts.
We'll be there this summer. I know
Yeah.
we're getting a little older, but we still got a few.
No,
You know,
no.
we can't go every night of the week like we used to, but you know, I get a
That's why it's
couple times.
perfect. It's a
Yeah,
Sunday day party,
yeah.
so you day drink, and then also what's cool about it is there's every generation that comes. So we have people that are turning 21 that love it. We have people our age. We have people in their late 20s. We got people in their 60s coming.
I love that. Speaking of different generations, and the last thing we'll cover right now, what would you say to anyone who wants to get into either DJing or streaming, and maybe either they're in high school or let's say they're they're a baby boomer and they're retired and they're looking for a hobby, like the full spectrum. What would you say to someone who wants to get into DJing and who wants to get into streaming?
DJing, just follow what you love. Like pick some songs you like, mess with them. Um, but like study stuff. Go on YouTube, YouTube University. Like
Yeah,
I mean, especially now, there's all kinds of courses you can take. There's videos for free. Like if you don't have the funds, there's stuff to learn. I would suggest learning without like Serato, Record Box, or anything like that first. That way you get your ears right, and then you'll
mm,
understand it a lot more. But if you don't want to, that's fine too, because it's a different generation.
right.
There's different ways. If you start with like a little controller and Serato or Record Box, Tractor, whatever program you get, like just go all in with it and
Yep,
just like study it and study the history of it. And if you truly love it, you're gonna succeed.
that's great advice. That's great
And
advice.
and then
Go
with
ahead.
streaming, if you want to stream, just go on. Just and you're probably not gonna have any viewers. I'm just gonna be honest, especially now.
Yeah,
You're probably not to have any viewers. If you're lucky, you'll have some, but you'll gain them. You just got to keep doing it. Just like me, like I have a YouTube that I have no one subscribed to it right now. Like, I mean, I have like 100 subscribers,
so
but
you would say like Instagram and Twitch are where you're strongest.
yeah.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
same with,
I've seen Twitch a few times, but I haven't spent a lot of time there. But I need to. I feel like it's a great platform for streamers.
yeah. And that's where I want to get to on streaming on multiple platforms and stuff.
Totally,
But yeah, like
totally,
you got to start somewhere. So don't get discouraged if like no one's there or if it doesn't pick up overnight. There's a lot of competition out there. So,
totally. I know. I think I just got invited to uh, like a bonus from Instagram, and it's like 50 cents or something. And I was like, yes, I'm
oh,
excited. Like
nice.
I'm just like, hey, something, because I know it's possible, and I know we both follow a lot of different people and influencers and stuff, and are friends with a lot of them. And I'm like, dude, my goal is to get content to the point where it is. Nothing crazy, but like if you can pay for your lifestyle through creating content, like what that's living the dream, right? You can live anywhere, do cool shit and record it and build a community. I mean, why not, right?
Yeah, why not?
Awesome. Well, dude, thank you so much for your time. I love your setup, and we're definitely going to come check out your party this summer. And again, thanks for doing my 30th. We'll
Real,
look into
real
maybe my
quick,
50th.
I got some
Yeah.
questions for you.
All right, let's go.
What do you think about Jimmy Butler in Golden State?
Well, remember, guys, before music, we were sports guys. I love it. I wasn't sure how it was going to go, and it may not be forever, but we're still in the honeymoon phase. And I think that he was kind of the missing piece. I mean, I love Clay. Clay's a splash brother, always will be a warrior, but I think that some changes had to happen. And I love Wiggins. I wish we still had Wiggins because we wouldn't have won 22 championship without him. But he's just too inconsistent for whatever reason. When he's aggressive, he's amazing. But with Jimmy, he's pretty consistent. He's consistently good on defense, and he brings a whole different dynamic. Like the Warriors never shoot free throws. All of a sudden, we're like shooting free throws, and it's mostly Jimmy because he's not afraid to go to the line. So if all he does is give Steph a break, it's worth its weight in gold.
Yeah, he brought a new spark to your team.
I agree. What do you think about Luka to the Lakers?
At first, um,
It still doesn't look right, does it?
I,
It's
w-
still weird.
I was the hater that was very pissed off because I was an AD fan.
Yeah,
I would get mad at AD because I feel he has like all the talent in the world,
he does.
but just doesn't always know how to apply it or doesn't train as hard as the off season. I
Yeah,
don't know. Or maybe he's just built like not to last. Like
yeah,
and so he was balling this season and it just came out of nowhere and I was pissed because in my head I'm thinking I already knew he was injured since December. And I
yeah.
was like, oh, the Mavs are trying to get over on us because why in the hell would they trade their franchise player that just took them to the NBA Finals
Right.
to us? There's got to be more to this. That's what I thought in my head, and then I'm like thinking, like, how are LeBron and Luka to work together? I was like,
Yeah.
we need our big. That's our
Right.
best because we sucked at defense at that point.
Right.
All we
Right.
had was AD,
Right.
and then Max Christie was our second best, and we got rid of him too, and he was a bright future.
Right.
And then like a week later, we get rid of Connect, but then we got him back.
Right. It's just
I
like we
was
did with use
I was
check
just
right
like a
now.
moody Laker fan, and then I'm like, you know, he's on my team. It is what it is. And then he's just been balling, and I'm just like, man, the Mavericks are stupid. And then AD went down and only played one
I
game,
know. Well,
and
there's
I'm
conspiracy theories that they're trying to tank so that they can
go to
get a
Vegas.
casino or go to Vegas or something. Who knows? We'll see. But that the good thing about music is that you go to a game, half the people are going to be sad, half the people are going to be excited based on who wins or loses. What I love about going to a party like yours or to a concert, everybody wins.
Yeah,
Everybody has a good
no,
time.
for sure.
You know what I mean? So anyway, but awesome, man. Well, we could talk for days about all the different topics.
Last question:
Yes. Oh, here we go.
are you still gonna be an A's fan?
Oh, that's a tough question.
Because
So
I don't know either.
okay, and this might be the first time I'm saying it publicly. This will be my first season as a Giants fan. I have always, I never hated the Giants. If you grew up in the Bay Area, you usually like all the teams, right? I think it's when the Raiders moved back from LA to Oakland that there was more of a rivalry because there wasn't really a rivalry before. And with social media and the shit talking, that's where there kind of became this animosity. And people don't realize this, but the A's helped the Giants stay in San Francisco. They were going to move to Tampa, Florida. And then when the A's wanted to move to San Jose, the Giants blocked it. And so a lot of A's fans are salty toward the Giants over that. Then they went on their dynasty run, won three in a row and all that. I wasn't on the bandwagon then, but I like Barry Bonds. I like Matt Williams. I like, Will Clark. Um, and now the Warriors are right there. You can literally see the Giants Stadium from the Warriors Stadium. I'm a Bay Area sports fan. And
Uh
it's
huh.
really frustrating to see what happened with the A's. I grew up there with the original Bash brothers and Ricky Henderson and Dave Honeycutt, all those guys, Eckersley. So I'll always have those memories, but I'm not going to follow a team to Las Vegas. I'll root for them. I love them, nostalgia, but I'm going to keep my main teams in the Bay Area. And then if I'm in Vegas, I'll catch a game, but I'm not going to raise my kids and take them to Vegas just for a baseball game. Right. That's just my opinion. I don't know.
Yeah, with me, it's tough because I grew up going there. I got to
Total.
go
Me
to
too.
the
Yeah.
I didn't go to the last game, but I flew up there last minute to go to the second to last game,
Oh, me too. I was there the last week. Yeah.
and I got some dirt from the field. But it makes sense for me because I'm a Raider fan, and then it's like 3.5 hours away.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh well, the Raiders are here, the A's are gonna be here. Then I like the Aces too. So I don't know. I might stick with
Aces are cool. I mean, if they had said we're going to stay in Sacramento and that's our new home, that might have been a little easier to manage. But if they're going to a whole other state, I don't know. It's tough. One, baseball is my like, third or fourth sport that I care about. But I went to a couple Giants. Oh, went to Battle of the Bay last year to watch the last A's Giants game in San Francisco, and I was like, "Damn, dude, this is so much better over here." Like the experience is night and day. And I
oh
love the
yeah.
Coliseum, and I grew up there. So much memories, but it's a piece of shit. And
Yeah.
and I remember they were going to build a new stadium in Oakland, but they just it just never happened. So it's unfortunate. The emotional and economic impact that a sports team can have when they show up to a city or when they leave a city and all the politics. But at the end of the day, it's about fans, it's about memories, and we both share those great memories of the A's in the 80s and the 90s and the 2000s. But yeah, I know I have a friend who's an A's fan who's like absolutely not the Giants. I'm going to be a Padres fan. But the other thing is, I think you can have an AL and an NL team. Like, why not, right?
I mean, in the '90s, I was always an A's fan, but I watched the Braves because we got TBS.
Yeah, everybody watched the Braves.
So
Love
like,
Chipper Jones.
I mean, all the people that support me, they're all Dodger fans, so they've slowly kind of like converted me.
Yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah.
I watch all sports. I mean, I watch
Well, I
the
mean, it's pretty much it's the Dodgers are just buying the World Series every year at this point. So it's like, why are
yeah.
we? What are we even doing? Why even go out there? But I mean, it was funny because I hate the Yankees, right? As an A's fan, so I wanted to see a good series, even though the two teams I hate the most. I don't hate the Dodgers the most. I just, rivalry from the Bay Area and LA.
Yeah.
And would have loved watching Kershaw choke in the playoffs over the last decade. But this last year, it was kind of nice to see. Then it became like more of a California versus New York thing. And watching them embarrass them in New York, that was kind of nice.
Yeah. I love that.
So, I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter, but it's the shit that we spend our time on. So we
Yep.
could go on and on for sports and music for sure. Any more questions?
Nah, nah, that's
No,
it.
no, no. Those are good. Those are all good. But no, I mean, we could go on and on. I
I just
love
know
all the
you're a big
different.
sports guy like me, so
I am.
I had to get that in.
No, those are solid questions, bro. And we'll talk more offline because that we might even have to start a separate sports podcast because
Oh,
there's some
definitely.
things to definitely discuss. But
I could go on with sports for days.
for sure, right? Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time again, man. We'll DJ underscore Jon B
Yeah,
on Instagram.
JONB, no H.
JONB, no H. Check him out on Instagram. Check him out on Twitch. All his links will be there. We'll keep up the sports banter and the music talk, and definitely check out his party of the summer. You're Not Down in Pomona. It's going to be a fun summer. I feel like people are ready. It's the first day of spring, so happy
Yeah,
first day of spring.
it's a little hotter today.
Right, a little more pep in your step. But
Yeah.
anyway, give my best to Brendan. We'll be in touch, brother. Thank you
All
so
right.
much
Thank you
for
for
joining me
having me.
today. Thank you.
Good seeing you.